Hey guys, Carter here. Today we're going to take a closer look at my Emerson Horseman, which is basically a scaled down version of the classic Emerson CQC-8. The overall length on this knife is 8.5 inches, blade length is 3.54 inches, that is 154 cm steel, G10 handles, stainless steel pocket clip that appears to have a black oxide type coating. It's a matte black coating. It uses a flathead pivot screw and Phillips screws on the body. Has a lanyard hole. Features a thumb disc opening with the Emerson Wave feature. The blade is a two-tone satin finish on the primary bevel with a stone wash on the flat. It is a double V grind, so this is flat ground on both sides for the primary bevel. But like most Emersons, the secondary bevel is a chisel ground. So it's only ground on this side. So there's only one secondary bevel. Has a nice little swedge here, a cool uplift design. Some people call it a banana blade for obvious reasons. Has a really big pivot, especially for this size of knife. Nice thick blade stock. Self-lubricating washers. I think they're Nylotron. A nice thick titanium, high-grade titanium lock bar on this side, and a stainless steel liner on the opposite side. G10 backspacer. And I think that about covers all the basics with this knife. Retail, these go for about 150 bucks. You know, depending on where you get it. I think MSRP is about 200. The ergonomics of this knife, like most Emersons, is absolutely outstanding. Whether it's in reverse grip or not, it is absolutely melts in your hand. Has this really nice finger guard here. Protects your hand from sliding up on the blade. The Wave also acts as a thumb ramp. It has some, I would say about medium quality jimping. It's not super grippy, but I wouldn't call it useless. It definitely gives you a little something along with that ramp. Definitely helps you out. It has pretty nice action, fairly smooth, still needs some breaking in. It's actually quite centered for an Emerson, and like most Emersons, it needs some break in. This did not come quite perfect out of the box in terms of action and centering and things like that. Most Emersons, you need to play with them. You need to break in these washers, these Nylotron washers. They're great in long term. They last a really long time. They're self-lubricating, but when they're brand new, they're not perfect. So after you break it in, what you do is then you continue to tighten this pivot down. And you'll probably go through 2 or 3 sessions where you play with it, you open it, run it through a bunch of cycles, tighten this pivot a little bit, and then that will straighten the blade out even more every time you do that, and it'll get smoother and smoother. Then I'd also recommend cleaning in between doing that. I know I'm kind of going off track here from the knife and talking kind of Emersons in general, but it is what it is. And for cleaning, what I'd recommend is to actually not take it apart, but simply fill up a little bath with some soapy water, warm water, dip it in, shake it around in there, open it up a few times, blast it out with some compressed air. That's what I found to be best. Now, this knife was designed as a folding tactical fighting knife. That's what it was designed for. Of course, it can be used for many things. It's a very good EDC size. I've been carrying this around the last few days, and it's just been outstanding. Absolutely love playing with this. Lockup is really, really early, and it's got that perfect amount of stick. It gives you just a little click. You can kind of hear it there. So you know it's firmly in place, but it doesn't hurt your thumb to do it. And I have opened this probably 1,000 cycles or so, and the lock bar moved in maybe a millimeter after the first 100, and then it hasn't moved since then. Really good. It's backed by Emerson's warranty. Well, you know, much like Strider, it's not really a warranty, it's more like a service plan. So in 5 years, if the lock bar doesn't function anymore because it's been worn out, I can send it in and they'll fix it and send it back to me. Pretty much anything but cosmetic they will take care of for you and get a working knife back in your hands. Now, The fit and finish on this, well, first of all, fit and finish are two separate things. So the fit on this is great. Everything fits well. There's absolutely no blade play. I mean, really freaking, I got this thing freaking solid. I got this super solid. Everything on it in terms of that, you know, everything fits together. There's no major overhanging on the liners. You've got kind of like a cool little concave type thing going back here. Finish, it doesn't have super high finish. Emersons don't have super high finish unless you get a custom. It's just not part of their business model. That's not something that they find necessary to put their time into. So there is machining marks on the liners. There's some machining marks up here on the jimping. You can see this pivot here is kind of lightly darkened on this side, whereas it's really dark on this side. You know, just superficial things like that. And that's what it is. It is what it is. Emerson, it doesn't matter what, you know, how many you buy, they don't, you know, put a high finish on their production knives. And it took me a while to get past that, to be honest with you. And I'm going to do a set of videos where I kind of talk about Emersons in general. But in this review, I will say that I love this freaking knife, and I am proud to carry it in my pocket, and I plan on buying many more Emersons. But I don't want a bunch of people running out and buying an Emerson and saying, oh, Carter thought it was totally awesome and it's great. They get it, and it's not up to their standards in terms of fit and finish. So I do want to say that Emerson's, that's not a priority for them. So if it is a priority for you, you're probably not going to like the Emerson brand. So I'll just say that. But as far as a classic tactical blade with history, there's none better. I absolutely love this blade. And like I said, I'm going to talk, I'm rambling a little bit now, sorry guys, but I'm going to talk a little more at length on what I think about Emerson knives in general now, which is a little different than I used to. I have kind of been converted to the Emerson brand, and I'll talk about that more in some other videos. But getting back to this knife, super solid construction. I mean, and it's got that perfect weight, you know, where it doesn't feel flimsy, but it's not overbearing. It's got really, really nice weight, and the balance point is like perfect right at that finger guard. And so it just feels like magic in your hand. Like in terms of, I mean, like I said, this was designed to be a fighting blade, and as that, I think it excels in spades. The construction is extremely well done. As you can see, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 points here, but if you'll notice, they're actually offset. And these screws go all the way through both liners on both sides. So it's really more like having 4 set points on each side, essentially. And so that was a really, really genius idea right here on Emerson's behalf, because it keeps the actual hardware points down, but you get the strength of having 4 screws in here. Really, really nice. This features the kind of puzzling safe detent that Emerson started using back in 2000. So it's got 2 detent balls, but the only one that actually works as a detent on the blade is actually on this side, and it's located right up in there, right here. The reason he invented it, which sounds like a really good idea, is because he wanted the ability to adjust the lock bar tension independently from the detent tension. He wanted them to be 2 separate things, which sounds genius. However, I have never really desired that. I've never had a knife where I said, man, I wish the detent was stronger, but I don't want to increase my lock bar strength. You know, it's never been an issue. It's fine being together. But that's the way they are. And I believe that's the main suspect for centering issues with Emerson's, is because of this, you know, the complication between having 2 pressure points on each side. But I'll talk about that more later. Man, this video is not going how I intended. Sorry, guys. But yeah, really absolutely love this blade. I've been playing with it for days. I could not want anything more from a tactical fighter, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what this is. Alright guys, take it easy.